a small video just to demonstrate how to enter data to Jamovi and also how to run some basic descriptive statistics with it. Now, compared to SPSS, this is very easy and also very straightforward. Now, when you open up Jamovi, it would look like this. On the left side, you have the place to enter your data, and on the right side, you can see the output. Now, let me explain this interface a little bit. Here you have a selector, so if you press it you can view some options. If you want to start a new project with this, you have to click here. If you want to open up a specific file, you have to click on open. If you want to save what you have done, the data that you have entered, you can go for these options. So these are just some things that you can do with it. And here you have a tab variables. So if you want a variable view, you can actually have it here. But now in SPSS, you have to go to your variable view to create a variable. However, this is not really necessary in Jamovi because you can easily enter your variables in the data tab itself. So if I go data here, I can actually double click on these particular column headers so that I can go ahead and name my variables. And then here I have analysis. Descriptive statistics are usually performed through exploration. Then this is for t-tests, ANOVAs, regressions, and more frequency, tabulations and calculations and all of that. Now, when you install Jamovi, you don't have factor. I think you have factor. SEM stands for structural equation modeling. That's some high-end statistical work. Usually we don't have this for undergraduate students, but in postgrads like master programs and PhDs and all of that. J power is a way of finding the optimal sample size similar to G power, but I like to have G power as a separate software, not just this one. JJ statplot, snow IRT, this is for item response theory. Once again, we don't cover this in undergraduate programs, mostly in postgraduate psychometrics programs. And you have R commander as well if you want to put any commands. I usually do all my statistical analysis through R. I'm using R Studio, so I don't do anything here. And here's another one, Soul Metrics. So you can add modules based on your interest by clicking this button. If you click on this button, it says there's a Jamovi library, and then you can these are my installed modules, and if you want you can install more modules as well. Now let's take a look at this left side here. You see there are quite a lot of cells, and then each row stands for a specific person, and each column is a variable. Let's say I am interested in finding anxiety scores of a person, efficacy score, and also their gender. Now, the first thing, let's say you have been collecting data for a while for self-efficacy and general anxiety, and then you collect the gender information as well. So now I need to first enter my efficacy score. So what I do is I go to this first column, this A, B, and C. This is given whenever you open Jamovi, so it's there by default. So I'm going to double click on this A. And then when you double click, it will, drag this data entry pane and also the output slightly, downward. And then on top, you can see a place to enter variable information. You can see here it says data variable, and then you have a place to type the name of the variable. So here I'm going to just type self-efficacy. Now, one thing you have to make sure is you have to be mindful about how you name these things. Make sure your capitalization and all of that is done appropriately. Why? Because if you don't have that, when you take your output, the spelling mistakes and all of that would also be visible. Now, after that, you want to select your measure type. Now, if you haven't learned about measurements, I have done a video already on measurements in my playlist, so please go ahead and watch that. We know there's categorical variables and continuous variables. So self-efficacy, when you administer a scale, obviously the results that you're going to get for every person, the overall score is going to be continuous. And here we don't have anything else to add. So if you have a categorical variable, then you would have to add levels, but nothing to add here. So that is self-efficacy. Now I'm going to select this B here because I have second variable. This variable is anxiety. Once again, this one is going to be continuous. Now I told I need to have gender information as well, so I clicked on C. I'm going to add gender here. Measure type. This one of course is nominal. So here you have levels. Levels mean categories within the variable. So I'm going to click on this plus button here and then write 1 dash and then male. So I would be entering 1 whenever I want to indicate a particular respondent is male, and then whenever I want to indicate a respondent is female, then I'm going to enter 2 for that. Now let's see how exactly we are going to enter data. So once I create these variables, I'm going to click on this upward arrow here so that the that thing would go away. So self-efficacy score. Now you know generalized self-efficacy, the score ranges from 10 and 40. So let's say there's a person who has obtained 38 for self-efficacy. So I'm going to just enter 38. Let's say he or she has obtained 10 for anxiety. And let's say this person is a man, so then you would just type 1. And then it would automatically give male. Why? Because I already have specified 1 stands for male. And then I'm going to add the second person's information like this. Then you can add another person's information as well like this. So you can keep on adding information just like this. So I'm going to just now add some random data here like this. So I'm not going to add too much of data because I just need to show you how exactly this works. Okay, like this. Okay, so I'm going to add some more data here. Okay, now this is a simple data set. Now make sure, now this is one person, these rows represent a single person, so you can't mix up these values. Okay, now I need to just go ahead and do a very simple descriptive analysis. So what am I going to do? I'm going to just click on exploration, click on descriptives, and then you can see the things change. You would get a new window. On the left side, you can see the variables you have created. Now I have two continuous variables, self-efficacy and anxiety, and a categorical variable, gender. I'm going to just take this self-efficacy. So click on this and press this arrow to the right side and transfer this to variable. Now you can see when I transfer this, it automatically gives me some information. It gives the total number of cases, that is n. I don't have any missing value, so that is 0. Mean here is 29.8. That's the mean self-efficacy score. Median 31. So in the distribution that I have right now, self-efficacy, the midpoint is 31, and standard deviation is 7.10. That is the average distance the data is from the mean. Higher values usually indicate more spreaded data, so which means the data has more variation. The minimum score I have given is 14, the maximum is 38, and given the fact that I have entered only a small amount of data, you can understand why I have a bigger standard deviation. Now very similar to this, I can add anxiety here as well. Now one thing to note is I don't need to put gender into this variable category. I can actually use this gender information to split this data. Now I know self-efficacy totals, anxiety totals, but I want to see how much efficacious men are compared to women, and how anxious men would be compared to women. So what I do is I get this gender and put in split by. Now I can get, for example, see 5 are males, 5 are females. The mean for men is 29, for females is 30, and then at the same time standard deviation, you would see men have a higher variation compared to women, the scores. The lowest was recorded for men, that is 14. For females it is 22, and the highest was noted for men as well, 38. Now if you click on this button here, descriptives variables across columns, if I select variables across rows, this will actually change the information, how exactly it is displayed. I think viewing it like this is very neat. So that is a good thing. And then click on this statistics button. It will ask you to select what kind of information you would need. Now, I actually don't need missing values because I don't have anything missing. So I'm going to declick this. And you can see, boom, it just goes like that. And central tendency. Now, these measures help me understand whether my distribution looks like a normal distribution or not. Because if a distribution is 100% a normal distribution, mean, median, mode, those things should fall right in the middle. So left side of the distribution and right side of the distribution would be mirror images. But most of the times it doesn't work like that because you don't get a perfect normal distribution. So if you need mean, median, I can click on mode as well. So that would give me the most frequent score in the distribution. And then if you need, you can take sum as well, but I'm not going to use that. Standard deviation, if you want, this comes under dispersion. If you want variance, you can calculate variance for each one of these as well. So I just clicked variance. If you want range, you can take that as well. So for example, men would have self-efficacy scores. The lowest is 14, the maximum is 38, and the score has a range of 24. And I can get skewness information as well. You can see most of the distributions are pretty okay, but for men self-efficacy, that distribution skewness is negative 1.591. It probably should be okay, but it's slightly a higher value. Usually the values between negative 2 and positive 2 are generally considered to be alright, but if you have a higher value like that, it's okay to go ahead and do a little bit more testing. You can similarly obtain kurtosis as well. Now this doesn't look good. All the kurtosis values are far beyond negative or positive 2, indicating that there could be some deviation from the expected, the normal distribution. So sometimes some of these distributions could be too narrow and pointy, and some of these could be flat. So that's a problem. If you want to find whether your normality is violated or not, you can actually click on Shapiro-Wilk as well. Now, based on Shapiro-Wilk, this p-value should be less than 0.05 for us to know whether our distribution significantly violates normality. And based on this, only the third one violates normality, and that is anxiety of men. That distribution violates normality. Now, if you want plots, you can actually go for plots as well. I can obtain histograms. So if I obtain histograms, you can see how exactly these distributions work, the four distributions. I can actually go for densities so that I could see what kind of, whether they are normal or not. And you can see some of these distributions don't have enough data, so you can't really be certain what kind of a relationship there is. But this is not necessarily a normality curve, but it just shows where most of the data actually gathers. So that's something, it could be useful. So this is a very basic impression of how to do some basic statistics like descriptives through Jamovi. Now as you see, you have the data here, and on the right side now you have your output. So you can actually download this output as well. If you want to copy this table, you can just click copy and take it, because this is already APA formatted, and you probably should be able to select all of this by right clicking on this, and then you can export this as a PDF document as well. But I think more than taking it as a PDF document, because if you're a student, probably you must need these things to write reports, so you can just simply copy a table and then take it to your Word document, and then you can just go ahead and produce your reports just like that. So this is a very simple video, like I mentioned, to help you understand how to enter data and how to proceed with this. And I also have uploaded some more videos about how to do other sorts of analysis through Jamovi as well. And I wish to upload more analysis in future also. So stay tuned. And I hope this will clarify some of the doubts you have about entering data and how to do some basic descriptive statistical analysis. So thank you very much. I will meet you again with a similar video in future.